Park Dae-ho stood in the middle of the huge chamber and felt very small. The Galactic Council building was bigger than anything humans had ever built. The ceiling was so high that clouds formed near the top. Around him sat beings from across the galaxy, and most of them were looking at him like he was some kind of joke. Kim Hye-jin walked beside him. She was the leader of the human group that came to ask for help. Her face showed no emotion, but Park Dae-ho could see her hands shake a little. They had practiced this moment for months. Now it was time to see if the galaxy would accept humans as equals. The reptile creatures called Vorthak were the first to laugh. Their leader was a huge beast named General Sethkar. His skin was dark green and covered in scales that looked like armor. When he laughed, it sounded like steam coming out of a broken pipe. He pointed one clawed finger at the human weapons display. "Look at these toys," General Sethkar hissed. "They still use metal bullets and fire to make their ships move. My children play with better weapons than these." The other Vorthak started laughing too. Some of them fell off their chairs. One young Vorthak soldier was laughing so hard that he could not breathe. Park Dae-ho felt his face get hot with shame, but he kept standing straight. The insect people called Kithera were even worse. Their queen was a massive creature named Zikth. She had 6 arms and wings that buzzed when she moved. Her eyes were like black jewels that reflected light in all directions. When she spoke, it sounded like 1,000 crickets talking at once. These humans are barely smarter than the animals on their home planet. Queen Zikth clicked. They cannot even leave their solar system without help. How can they fight in a real war? Her soldiers made clicking sounds that meant they agreed. Some of them started cleaning their sharp claws in a way that looked very threatening. Park Dae-ho tried not to think about what those claws could do to a human body. The crystal beings called Etherians were more polite, but not much better. Their speaker was called Resonance of Light. It looked like a walking diamond that changed colors when it talked. Its voice sounded like music, but the words were not kind. Perhaps our new friends would be happier growing food or digging in mines. Resonance of Light sang in its beautiful voice. War is not for everyone. There is no shame in being peaceful farmers. Lee Taemin was the human military expert. He wore his best uniform, but it looked cheap compared to the alien armor around him. He had been a soldier for 20 years and had fought in many battles on Earth. Here he felt like a child playing dress-up. He watched General Sethkar pick up a human rifle from the display table. The massive reptile held it like it was made of paper. With one hand he bent the barrel into a pretzel shape. The metal screamed as it twisted. "This is what humans call a weapon?" General Sethkar laughed. "I have seen kitchen tools that are more dangerous." Dr. Choi Min-ho sat in the seats above the main floor. He was supposed to be just watching, but he was really working. Every insult, every laugh, every dismissive gesture went into his notes. His aide, Captain Yoon Sora, used a special camera to record everything. They would study this later. Dr. Choi had helped design many of Earth's real weapons. He knew things that would make these aliens stop laughing forever. But today was not the day to show those things. Today was the day to look weak and harmless. The voting began after 2 hours of speeches. Each alien group had to decide if humans could join their military alliance. The results were exactly what Dr. Choi expected, but it still hurt to hear. The Vorthak voted no. General Sethkar said humans were too weak to fight beside real warriors. The Kithera voted no. Queen Zikth said humans would just get in the way during battles. The Etherians voted no. Resonance of Light said humans needed more time to grow up as a species. Instead, they offered something called protected species status. This meant that humans would be safe, but they could not make their own military decisions. Other aliens would protect them like adults protecting children. Kim Hye-jin accepted the offer with a smile that looked grateful. She thanked the council for their kindness and promised that humans would work hard to earn their place in the galaxy. Park Dae-ho wanted to be sick when he heard his leader sound so thankful for being treated like a pet. After the ceremony, the aliens left quickly. They had more important things to do than talk to the new pets. General Sethkar walked past the human group without looking at them. Queen Zikth flew away with her wings buzzing like she was annoyed. Resonance of Light just faded away like a ghost. When they were alone, Dr. Choi walked down to join the others. Captain Yoon Sora followed him with the camera and notes. The data they collected today would be very useful later. "How do you feel?" Dr. Choi asked Kim Hye-jin. "Like I just sold my soul," she answered. But it was necessary. Lee Taemin was still staring at his bent rifle. They have no idea what we're really capable of, do they? That's the point, Dr. Choi said. Let them think we're harmless farmers and miners. Let them believe we're too stupid to be dangerous. When the time comes, they'll learn the truth. Far away on Earth, Admiral Kang Woo-jin watched the whole meeting on a secret video link. He sat in a room deep underground, surrounded by screens showing things the aliens could never imagine. Weapons that could crack planets, ships that could appear and disappear like magic, soldiers trained in ways of fighting that would give nightmares to the bravest Vorthak warrior. When the meeting ended, Admiral Kang picked up his communicator and spoke 2 words that would change everything. Phase 1. Across the solar system, hidden bases received the message. The plan that had been years in the making was now beginning. The galaxy thought humans were weak and stupid. Soon they would learn that the most dangerous enemy is the one you underestimate. The aliens had laughed at humanity today. Admiral Kang smiled as he thought about how much louder they would scream tomorrow. 6 months had passed since the humiliating day at the Galactic Council. Director Han Ji-woo looked out the window of her office on Earth and smiled. Everything was going exactly as planned. The aliens thought humans had accepted their place as the galaxy's newest pets. They had no idea how wrong they were. Han Ji-woo ran Terran Intelligence, the most secret organization on Earth. Her job was to make sure the aliens kept believing humans were harmless. Every day, her agents sent fake reports about human activities. Every week, they staged accidents to make human technology look even more primitive than before. On the colony world called New Seoul, Colonel Park Sung-ho commanded what looked like a sad collection of old spaceships. The Terran First Defense Fleet had 20 vessels that barely worked. Their weapons were slow and weak. Their shields failed during every practice battle. Alien observers who visited always left shaking their heads in pity. But Colonel Park knew things the observers did not. Hidden beneath the surface of New Seoul were the real defense systems. Weapons that could turn an attacking fleet into space dust in seconds. The broken ships above were just for show. Park walked through the command center of his flagship, watching his crew pretend to struggle with simple tasks. Lieutenant Baek Yeon-soo was especially good at acting helpless. She could make a computer crash just by touching it, or at least make it look that way. The aliens who watched always left feeling sorry for the poor, stupid humans. Meanwhile, in the asteroid belt around Mars, engineer Jo Hyun-woo worked on projects that officially did not exist. His laboratory was hidden inside what looked like a mining station. Any alien ship that passed by would see workers digging for minerals. They would never guess that the real work was happening deep underground. Jo Hyun-woo held a device no bigger than his hand. It looked like a simple tool, but it could bend gravity itself. In the wrong hands, it could pull a moon out of orbit. In the right hands, it could make a spaceship impossible to hit. He smiled as he thought about the day when aliens would see this technology in action. Dr. Lim Soo-jin worked in the same hidden lab. She was a physicist who had spent her whole life studying how space and time worked. The equations she wrote on her computer would have scared the greatest alien scientists. They described ways to fold space like paper, to make weapons appear in multiple places at once, to travel between stars in the blink of an eye. On the other side of the solar system, Professor Nam Ki-young was finishing work on something even more frightening. His quantum displacement weapons could reach through solid matter and destroy targets from the inside. A ship's armor meant nothing if the weapon appeared inside the hull. General Shin Dong-wook had the hardest job of all. He had to move humanity's real military forces without anyone noticing. Every night, ships left Earth in secret. They traveled to hidden bases in the empty space beyond Pluto. There, they waited for the day when pretending to be weak would no longer be necessary. The ships that left Earth looked old and broken. But once they reached the hidden bases, they transformed. Captain Lee Eun-bi commanded one of these secret fleets. Her ship looked like scrap metal from the outside, but inside it had weapons that could crack planets in half. The test came sooner than expected. The Vorthak Empire decided to attack New Seoul without warning. General Sethkar wanted to show the galaxy how easily he could crush human resistance. He brought 50 of his best warships to attack the peaceful farming colony. Colonel Park received the warning just minutes before the attack began. His first thought was excitement. Finally, they could show what humans were really capable of. But then he remembered the plan. Today was not the day for revelation. Today was the day to look even weaker than before. Send a distress call to the Galactic Council, Park ordered. Make it sound desperate. Lieutenant Baek Yeonsu nodded and opened communications. Her voice shook with perfect fear as she spoke to anyone who would listen. "This is New Seoul Colony. We're under attack. Our defenses are failing. Please, we need help." The fake battle was a work of art. Human ships fired their weakest weapons and missed their targets on purpose. Shields failed at exactly the right moments. Explosions were big and loud but did little real damage. To any observer, it looked like humans were fighting bravely but losing badly. The Vorthak ships tore through the human defenses like paper. General Sethkar laughed as he watched human ships explode. He had no idea that every explosion was carefully planned, that every destroyed ship was empty, that the real weapons were hidden and waiting. Just when it looked like New Seoul would fall, the Kythera swarm arrived. Queen Zikith had decided to protect her new pets from the nasty Vorthak. Her insect warriors swarmed over the reptile ships like angry bees. The battle between Kythera and Vorthak was real and brutal. Both sides used their best weapons and fought without holding back. In minutes, the space around New Seoul was full of wreckage from both fleets. General Sethkar retreated with only half his ship still working. Hive Commander Kaktar, who led the Kythera rescue force, landed on New Seoul to check on the humans. Colonel Park met him at the spaceport, his uniform torn and his face covered in fake blood. "Thank you for saving us," Park said, trying to sound weak and grateful. "Without your help, we would all be dead." Kikatar's insect face could not show emotion, but his voice was full of contempt. "You humans are like children playing with fire. Without alien protection, your species would be extinct within 10 years. Park nodded and looked ashamed. Inside, he was laughing. If Takatar only knew what was hidden beneath his feet, he would never sleep again. The quantum displacement cannons alone could have turned the entire Vorthak fleet into cosmic dust before they got within 1,000,000 miles of the planet. News of the Battle of New Seoul spread across the galaxy. Every alien species heard the same story. Humans fought bravely but were helpless without alien protection. The Kythera became heroes for saving the weak humans. The Vorthak were scolded for picking on creatures that could not fight back. Director Han Ji-woo read the reports with satisfaction. The deception was working perfectly. Every alien in the galaxy now believed that humans were brave but hopeless in real combat. They saw humans as noble pets who needed constant protection. On Mars, engineer Jo Hyun-woo finished testing his gravity manipulation device. The test was successful beyond his wildest dreams. He had managed to make a small asteroid disappear and reappear on the other side of the solar system. When this technology was ready for combat, human ships would be able to appear anywhere in the galaxy without warning. Dr. Lim Soo-jin completed her work on quantum phase shields. These barriers could let human weapons pass through while stopping any attack from outside. A ship with quantum phase shields was effectively invisible to conventional weapons. Professor Nam Ki-young loaded the first quantum displacement warhead into a test missile. The warhead was the size of a baseball, but could destroy anything up to the size of a small moon. Best of all, there was no defense against it because it materialized inside the target. Admiral Kang Woo-jin received reports from all the secret projects. Everything was proceeding faster than expected. The alien attack on New Seoul had actually helped by making humans look even more helpless than before. But Kang knew that the deception could not last forever. Sooner or later, someone would discover the truth. When that day came, humanity would need to be ready to show the galaxy what they were really capable of. He looked at the star map on his wall and smiled. The aliens thought they ruled the galaxy through military might. They had no idea that the greatest military force in galactic history was hiding right under their noses, pretending to be farmers and miners. The galaxy had laughed at humanity once. Soon it would be humanity's turn to laugh. The galaxy exploded into war without warning. For centuries, the three great powers had maintained an uneasy peace. Now that peace was shattered like glass thrown against stone. It started when the Etherian Collective found vast deposits of quantum crystals in a system the Vorthak Empire claimed as their own. Resonance of Light demanded the right to mine the crystals. General Sethkar refused and sent his fleet to block the mining ships. The first battle was small, just a few ships on each side. But when an Etherian crystal ship accidentally destroyed a Vorthak breeding colony, the war became unstoppable. Within days, both empires were throwing everything they had at each other. Queen Zikith of the Kythera swarm saw her chance and attacked them both. Her insect warriors had been waiting for generations to expand their territory. Now, while the other two powers were busy fighting each other, she could take whatever she wanted. The Galactic Council tried to stop the fighting, but no one was listening anymore. 3 massive fleets clashed in space battles that could be seen from neighboring star systems. Planets burned. Entire species fled their homes to escape the destruction. Chancellor Orthvan was the new leader of the Vorthak Empire. He was even more aggressive than General Sethkar had been. When his forces started losing battles against both enemies at once, he came up with a desperate plan. Orthvan called an emergency meeting of the Galactic Council. His message was simple and brutal. Give him control of all human territories to use as defensive barriers, or he would destroy every planet in the galaxy rather than lose the war. The humans are useless in battle anyway, Orthvan declared. Let them serve as shields for their betters. Their worlds can absorb enemy attacks while my real forces prepare counterstrikes. The council members were terrified. They had never seen a war this destructive before. Entire star systems were being reduced to glowing debris. If they did not find a way to stop the fighting soon, the galaxy itself might not survive. Without even asking Earth for permission, the council voted to give Orthvan what he wanted. Human colonies would become buffer zones in the war. Human civilians would be relocated to make room for Vorthak military bases. The protected species status that humans had been granted was officially revoked. President Moon Jae received the news in her office deep beneath the surface of Earth. She was a small woman with gray hair and kind eyes. But when she heard what the council had decided, her expression became colder than the space between stars. The emergency meeting of the Terran High Command lasted only 30 minutes. Every person in the room had been waiting for this day. Admiral Kang Woo-jin, Defense Minister Yang Hae-won, Director Han Ji-woo, and a dozen other leaders who officially did not exist. They want to use our people as shields, President Moon said quietly. They want to sacrifice human lives to protect alien interests. The time for pretending has ended. Admiral Kang stood up slowly. He had been planning for this moment for over 20 years. Every secret base, every hidden weapon, every disguised ship had been prepared for the day when humanity would reveal its true power. I request permission to activate Operation Silent Thunder, he said formally. Defense Minister. Yang looked around the room. Every face showed the same cold anger. All in favor? Every hand rose. The vote was unanimous. Within hours, orders went out to every hidden base in the solar system and beyond. Ships that had been disguised as mining vessels shed their fake hulls and revealed sleek warships underneath. Weapons platforms that had pretended to be research stations powered up systems that could crack moons in half. Captain Ryu Jae-sung commanded the Terran dreadnought Indomitable. For 2 years, his ship had been hidden inside a hollowed-out asteroid beyond Pluto. It was the largest warship ever built by humans, but it used technology so advanced that most alien scientists would call it impossible. The Indomitable was 3 miles long and covered in armor that existed in multiple dimensions at once. Its main weapon was a quantum disruptor cannon that could unmake matter at the atomic level. Just one shot could erase a planet from existence. But size was not the ship's greatest advantage. The Indomitable could fold space around itself and appear anywhere in the galaxy instantly. As Captain Rao engaged the quantum fold drive, his ship vanished from the outer solar system and reappeared near the Vorthak homeworld. Every sensor in that star system screamed warnings at once. The energy readings coming from the human ship were impossible. No known technology could generate that much power. Vorthak defense platforms turned their weapons toward the strange vessel, but they might as well have been throwing rocks at a mountain. Chief Tactical Officer Park Yuri had studied alien defensive systems for years. She knew exactly where to hit to cause maximum terror with minimum loss of life. Her fingers danced over the control panel as she targeted the orbital weapons platforms around the Vorthak homeworld. The platforms did not explode when the Indomitable fired. They simply stopped existing. One moment they were there, huge metal structures bristling with weapons. The next moment there was nothing but empty space where they used to be. Not even wreckage remained. Chancellor Orthvan watched from his command ship as his planet's defenses vanished like morning mist. He had seen many terrible weapons during the current war, but nothing like this. The human ship had just erased objects from reality itself. Fleet Admiral Ko Sung-min opened communications on every frequency that alien technology could receive. His message was broadcast to every ship, every planet, every space station in the galaxy. "This is the Terran Defense Coalition." His voice echoed across the stars. "We formally withdraw from all previous agreements with the Galactic Council. Earth and all human colonies declare their complete independence from alien authority." The message continued as alien leaders across the galaxy listened in growing horror. "Any species that threatens human worlds or attempts to use human citizens as shields will face immediate retaliation. We are no longer the helpless farmers you remember. We are no longer your pets." On the Vorthak homeworld, Orthvan tried to rally his forces. He screamed orders at his fleet commanders, demanding that they destroy the lone human ship. But his officers were too busy staring at their instruments in disbelief. The human ship was not alone. Sensors were detecting dozens of similar vessels appearing throughout Vorthak space. Each one showed the same impossible energy readings. Each one seemed to exist partially outside normal space-time. Admiral Ko's final words in his broadcast would be remembered for centuries. "For too long, you have judged strength by the size of guns and the thickness of armor. Today you learn that true strength comes from intelligence, patience, and the wisdom to hide your capabilities until the moment of greatest need. That moment has arrived." The transmission ended, leaving the galaxy in stunned silence. Then one by one, alien leaders began to understand what had just happened. The weak, helpless humans they had mocked and dismissed had just revealed themselves as the most advanced military force in galactic history. In the Cathara hive ships, Queen Zixth felt something she had never experienced before: fear. Her swarm had conquered hundreds of worlds through sheer numbers and savage brutality. But numbers meant nothing against weapons that could erase matter from existence. Among the crystal cities of the Etherian collective, resonance of light sang a song of pure terror. The harmonics that made up Etherian consciousness were vibrating with frequencies of shock and awe. How had they been so completely fooled? On Earth, President Moon watched the galaxy's reaction through spy satellites and hidden observation posts. The three great powers that had been tearing each other apart moments ago were now frantically trying to contact Earth. They wanted to negotiate, to apologize, to somehow undo the terrible mistake they had just made. But it was too late for apologies. The galaxy had shown its true nature when it tried to sacrifice human lives for alien convenience. Now humanity would show its true nature in return. The age of alien dominance was ending. The age of human supremacy was about to begin. The galaxy's response was swift and desperate. Within 12 hours of Admiral Ko's broadcast, every major alien power had put aside their wars to focus on a single target: humanity. Chancellor Orthvan of the Vorthak Empire sent urgent messages to Queen Zixth and Resonance of Light. For the first time in centuries, the three great powers agreed on something completely. The upstart humans had to be crushed before their mysterious new weapons could threaten the established order. "We cannot allow these primitives to upset millions of years of galactic civilization," Orthvan declared during the Emergency Alliance meeting. "If humans can hide such power and reveal it when they choose, what stops other species from doing the same? We must destroy them now before others get similar ideas." Queen Zixth buzzed her agreement. Her insect mind was already calculating how many ships she would need to overwhelm the human defenses. "My swarm has 10,000 battle-ready vessels. We will drown them in numbers." Resonance of Light sang its harmony of war. "The Etherian crystal fleets will provide energy weapons and quantum disruptors. No human shield can withstand our combined might." Over 3,000 alien warships began moving toward human space. It was the largest military force ever assembled in galactic history. Ships from dozens of different species joined the Grand Alliance. Everyone wanted to be part of crushing the humans before they became too dangerous to stop. But humans were not waiting passively for the attack. General An Ye-jin commanded Terran Battle Group Omega from her flagship, hidden within what appeared to be an ordinary asteroid field near Proxima Centauri. The field was actually humanity's greatest deception yet. Engineering Corps Commander Seo Dong-min had spent 3 years creating the false asteroid field. Each rock was actually a sophisticated holographic projector. The entire field was one massive illusion designed to hide 500 human warships in plain sight. General An watched her tactical displays as the alien armada approached. 3,000 ships against 500 seemed like impossible odds, but she was not worried. The aliens still had no idea what human technology could really do. All ships prepare for revelation protocol, General An ordered. It's time to show the galaxy what we've been building while they thought we were playing, with sticks and stones. The first alien scouts entered the Proxima Centauri system and immediately detected the asteroid field. Their sensors showed exactly what they expected. Dead rocks floating in space, probably left over from some ancient planetary collision. They reported back that the system was empty of any significant military presence. Admiral Lee Hyojin commanded the Sovereign, humanity's first quantum phase battleship. Her vessel existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously, making it impossible for normal sensors to get accurate readings. To alien observers, it looked like a small mining ship drifting aimlessly through space. The Sovereign was humanity's masterpiece of defensive technology. Its quantum phase armor could shift between dimensions, allowing enemy weapons to pass through harmlessly, while human weapons could fire back with full effect. It was like fighting a ghost that could punch back. Captain Hong Min-suk piloted one of the new experimental fighter craft. His ship was only 30 feet long, but it could fold space around itself and appear anywhere within a light year instantly. To alien pilots, it would seem like human fighters were teleporting randomly around the battlefield. Major Zhang Yunha led a squadron of these quantum fighters. Her pilots had trained for years to use the new technology. They could appear behind enemy ships, fire a devastating attack, and vanish before the enemy even knew they were under assault. The alien fleet entered the system in standard battle formation. Vorthak heavy cruisers led the advance, their thick armor designed to absorb enemy fire. Behind them came the Kythera swarm ships, ready to overwhelm any defense through sheer numbers. The Etherian crystal vessels brought up the rear, their weapons charged and ready to reduce planets to cosmic dust. Chancellor Orthvan commanded the attack from his flagship Conquest. He had brought his most experienced officers and his deadliest weapons. This was not just a battle. It was a crusade to preserve the natural order of galactic civilization. Begin the attack, Orthvan ordered. Show these humans what real military power looks like. The alien fleet opened fire on the asteroid field, expecting to clear away the rocks before landing troops on any nearby planets. Their weapons lit up space with brilliant energy beams and explosive missiles, but instead of destroying asteroids, their weapons passed harmlessly through empty space. The entire field flickered once and vanished, revealing the truth that had been hidden underneath. 500 human warships hung motionless in perfect formation. Each vessel radiated energy signatures that should have been impossible. Their hulls gleamed with materials that existed partially outside normal spacetime. Their weapons were already charged and aimed with inhuman precision. Tactical coordinator Kim Suho had planned this moment down to the smallest detail. Every human ship knew exactly where to be and when to fire. The coordination was so perfect that it seemed like the human fleet was controlled by a single mind. Deactivate holographic camouflage, General An commanded. All ships engage quantum combat protocols. The battle that followed was less a fight than a demonstration of technological superiority. Human ships moved through the alien formation like sharks through a school of fish. They appeared and disappeared at will, their quantum drives allowing them to be in multiple places at once. Captain Hong's fighter appeared directly inside a Vorthak cruiser, fired its quantum disruptor, and vanished before the cruiser's crew even realized they were under attack. The massive alien ship simply came apart at the molecular level, its atoms scattering into space like glowing dust. Major Zhang's squadron attacked a cluster of Kythera swarm ships. The insect vessels tried to overwhelm the humans with numbers, but human fighters moved faster than alien sensors could track. One moment a fighter was 1,000 miles away, the next it was firing point-blank into an enemy engine core. The Sovereign demonstrated the futility of attacking a quantum phase battleship. Alien weapons struck its hull and passed through like it was made of mist. But when Admiral Lee returned fire, her quantum disruptors tore through alien armor like it was paper. Science Officer Dr. Kim Bo-ra opened communications with the alien fleet. Her voice carried across space to every ship in the attacking force. Your weapons cannot hurt us because we exist partially outside your reality. Our weapons can hurt you because we choose when to interact with your dimension. This is the result of 2 centuries of quantum research that you never knew was happening. The revelation shocked the alien commanders even more than the battle itself. Humans had been studying advanced physics for 200 years, while pretending to struggle with basic technology. Every bumbling mistake, every failed experiment, every request for help had been part of an elaborate deception. Chancellor Orthvan tried desperately to rally his forces. All ships concentrate fire on single targets. Use quantum torpedoes and antimatter charges. But it was useless. Human ships danced between the attacks like leaves in a storm. Their quantum drives let them step sideways out of reality whenever they were threatened. They would vanish from one location and appear somewhere else, always where the aliens least expected them. Admiral Park Chan-ho commanded the human reserve force from his flagship Retribution. He had been watching the battle from a distance, but now he moved forward to deliver the final blow. His ship's main weapon was a stellar disruptor that could collapse stars into black holes. "Alien fleet," Admiral Park broadcast. "You have 10 seconds to surrender unconditionally. If you refuse, I will demonstrate what happens when humans stop holding back." Orthvan's response was to order his entire fleet to target the Retribution with everything they had. Thousands of weapons fired at once, creating a storm of energy that could have destroyed a small moon. The Retribution absorbed every attack without taking any damage. Its quantum phase shield shifted the incoming energy into parallel dimensions where it harmlessly dissipated. Then Admiral Park fired a single shot from his stellar disruptor. The shot passed through the center of the alien formation and struck an empty region of space 1,000,000 miles away. For a moment, nothing happened. Then space itself began to twist and buckle. A micro-black hole formed and started growing, its gravity well reaching out to grab nearby ships. "That was a demonstration shot," Admiral Park announced calmly. "The next one will be aimed at your fleet. You have 30 seconds to surrender." The alien fleet surrendered in 20 seconds as Vorthak, Kythera, and Etherian ships powered down their weapons and prepared to be boarded. Admiral Park sent his final message to the galaxy. "Today you learned that humanity has been ready for interstellar warfare since before we met you. We studied your signals for decades before first contact. We knew you existed, we knew how you thought, and we prepared accordingly." The most shocking revelation was yet to come. Dr. Kim Bo-ra transmitted the complete records of human space technology development. The files showed that Earth's military had been capable of interstellar combat for over 50 years before aliens arrived. In the solar system, humanity had not become dangerous after being humiliated by the Galactic Council. The Galactic Council chambers had never been so quiet. Ambassador Yoo Jae-hyun stood where Park Dae-ho had once been mocked, but the atmosphere was completely different now. Fear had replaced laughter. Respect had replaced contempt. The same alien representatives who had dismissed humanity as primitive farmers now sat in terrified silence. General Sethkar of the Vorthak kept his claws hidden and his head bowed. Queen Zicht of the Kythera had folded her wings tight against her body, a sign of submission in her species. Even resonance of light had dimmed its crystal body until it was barely visible. President No Soo-jin appeared as a hologram in the center of the chamber. She was a calm woman in her 60s who had spent most of her career as a diplomat, but everyone in the room knew that she commanded the most powerful military force in galactic history. 3 months ago, you offered humanity protected species status, President No began. You promised to keep us safe like children under your care. Today, I formally reject that offer and all agreements made under it. The alien representatives shifted nervously in their seats. Some of them looked like they wanted to object, but none dared to speak. The memory of the Battle of Proxima Centauri was too fresh in their minds. Instead, President No continued, Earth proposes a new galactic charter based on mutual respect and cooperation. No species will claim authority over another. No world will be sacrificed to protect alien interests. Military alliances will be voluntary, not forced. Admiral Kang Woo-jin stepped forward to address the specific military arrangements. He was an older man with gray hair and kind eyes, but his voice carried the weight of absolute authority. The demonstration at Proxima Centauri represented 12% of humanity's actual military capabilities, Admiral Kang announced. The remaining 88% remains classified, but I can tell you that our weapons can reshape planetary cores, collapse star systems, or relocate entire solar systems if necessary. The silence in the chamber became even deeper. Several alien representatives looked like they might faint. General Sethkar actually trembled, his scales rattling against each other like wind chimes. Director Song Hae-young of the newly created Terran Diplomatic Corps began the formal negotiations for new treaties. She was a brilliant woman who spoke 17 alien languages fluently. More importantly, she understood exactly how much fear was necessary to ensure cooperation. The Vorthak Empire will withdraw all military forces from the disputed border regions, Director Song stated. Your expansion plans are officially cancelled. Any attempt to conquer new territories will result in immediate human intervention. Chancellor Orthvan wanted to protest, but the words died in his throat. His mighty empire had been reduced to a junior partner in galactic affairs. The irony was not lost on him. The species he had planned to use as shields now held his entire civilization's fate in their hands. The Cathara swarm will cease all hive expansion activities in populated sectors. Director Song continued. Your breeding colonies will be relocated to uninhabited systems only. Any attempt to establish hives near other species' worlds will be considered an act of war. Queen Zicht clicked her mandibles in what might have been agreement or might have been rage. Her swarm had conquered through overwhelming numbers for millennia. Now those numbers meant nothing against enemies who could exist in multiple dimensions at once. The Etherian Collective will share all quantum crystal mining rights with affected local populations. Director Song finished. No more claiming entire systems for exclusive Etherian use. Other species have the right to exist in their own territories. Resonance of light sang a harmony of defeat. The crystal beings had always considered themselves superior to organic life forms. Learning that the primitive humans had mastered quantum physics far beyond Etherian understanding was a blow to their fundamental beliefs. The most shocking announcement came from Colonel Wu Sang-ho, who revealed the establishment of the first integrated Galactic Defense Academy on Earth. The academy would train officers from all species in modern warfare techniques developed by humans. Classes begin in 6 months, Colonel Wu announced. Attendance is mandatory for all military personnel above the rank of commander. You will learn how warfare has evolved beyond your current understanding. Instructor Shin Hisu would teach the course called Asymmetric Warfare and the Element of Surprise. The class would become legendary throughout the galaxy. Officers who graduated from it would return to their fleets with a new understanding of how helpless they really were against human technology. The ultimate symbol of the new galactic order was revealed when Chief Engineer Bai Ji-hoon announced the construction of humanity's first stellar engineering platform. The massive structure was already under construction in Earth's solar system. The platform will be capable of moving stars and planets as needed, Engineer Bai explained calmly. We plan to reorganize several nearby solar systems to improve trade routes and resource distribution. Any species that wishes to relocate their homeworld to a more favorable position may submit a request. The casual mention of moving entire planets sent another wave of shock through the alien representatives. The technology required for such projects was beyond their wildest imagination. Humans were not just more advanced than anyone had realized. They were operating on a completely different level of scientific understanding. Fleet Admiral Park. Se-Young concluded the charter signing ceremony with words that would echo through galactic history. He was a veteran of humanity's secret wars, a man who had spent decades preparing for this moment. We hid our strength not from fear, but from wisdom, Admiral Park said. We preferred to be underestimated rather than rule through terror. We wanted to give you the chance to be our friends and equals rather than our subjects and slaves. He paused to let the words sink in before delivering the final message. But when you tried to sacrifice human lives for your convenience, you forced us to reveal our hand. You chose to see us as weak creatures to be used and discarded. Now you must live with the consequences of that choice. The new galactic charter was signed by every major power within the hour. No one dared to refuse. The species that had once mocked humanity now competed to see who could be most helpful to their new human overlords. As the alien dignitaries prepared to leave Earth, each carried the same sobering realization. They had spent millions of years believing that military might determine galactic hierarchy. They had built their civilizations around the idea that the strongest species deserved to rule over the weakest. Humanity had just proved that intelligence, patience, and strategic thinking were far more powerful than any weapon. The aliens had focused on building bigger guns and thicker armor, while humans had been quietly rewriting the laws of physics. Ambassador Li Yujin watched the alien ships depart from Earth's orbital stations. The vessels that had once arrived with arrogant confidence now left in fearful haste. Their crews would spend the journey home wondering what other surprises humanity might have hidden away. The galaxy had changed forever in the span of a single day. The three great powers that had dominated galactic politics for millennia were now junior partners in a human-led confederation. Species that had never dared to challenge alien authority were already sending messages of friendship to Earth. But perhaps the most important change was in humanity itself. For generations, humans had dreamed of exploring the stars and meeting alien civilizations as equals. Now that dream had come true, though not in the way anyone had expected. Instead of joining galactic civilization as eager students, humans had become the teachers. Instead of learning from advanced alien technology, they were sharing human innovations with primitive alien scientists. Instead of earning respect through years of patient cooperation, they had demanded respect through an overwhelming demonstration of power. The mocking laughter that had once filled the Galactic Council chambers would never be heard again. In its place was the respectful silence of species that had learned a hard lesson about the danger of underestimating their neighbors. The galaxy had laughed at humanity once. Now the galaxy would spend the rest of eternity making sure humanity never stopped smiling back.